In the skies over Europe during World War II, German pilots often mocked an American fighter, calling it the Jug because it looked like a fat milk jug. To them, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt was a clumsy, overweight beast, a flying bathtub that couldn't possibly compete with their sleek Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs. They laughed at its size, its weight, and what they perceived as its sluggishness. Little did they know, this useless fighter would soon become one of their worst nightmares, a relentless hunter that would dominate the skies and rack up an astonishing number of kills. So, what was the P-47 Thunderbolt? It was the heaviest single-engine fighter of the entire war. Tipping the scales at nearly 8 tons when fully loaded, it was a true heavyweight champion. This bulk came from its massive Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp radial engine, a 2,000 horsepower marvel of engineering. This engine needed a complex turbo supercharger system to maintain its power at high altitudes, and all that plumbing and ductwork took up a lot of space, resulting in the P-47's distinctive barrel-shaped fuselage. But its size was also its strength. The Thunderbolt was built like a flying tank. Its rugged construction meant it could absorb an incredible amount of damage and still bring its pilot home safely. Stories abound of P-47s returning to base riddled with holes, with entire cylinders shot off the engine, or with significant portions of their wings and tails missing. This durability gave its pilots immense confidence. They knew their aircraft could take a beating, allowing them to fly into the heart of the fight without hesitation. Initially, the P-47 was used as a high-altitude escort fighter. Its powerful engine and turbo supercharger made it a beast above 25,000 feet. It could match or even outpace German fighters at these heights. However, its initial climb rate wasn't the best, and at lower altitudes, the more nimble German fighters could sometimes dance around it. This is where the early German perception of the Jug came from. They'd encounter it, find it less agile in a turning fight, and dismiss it. But American pilots quickly learned not to play the enemy's game. The true genius of the P-47 lay in its energy fighting tactics. Thunderbolt pilots would use their planes' superior high-altitude, performance, and incredible dive speed to their advantage. A P-47 pilot would climb high above the fight, pick a target, and then plummet downwards in a devastating dive. The Thunderbolt could reach speeds of over 500 miles per hour in a dive, far faster than its German counterparts. By the time a German pilot saw a P-47 screaming down on them, it was often too late. The Jug's armament was nothing short of terrifying. It packed 8 .50 caliber machine guns, 4 in each wing. When all 8 guns fired, they unleashed a storm of lead, a concentrated hail of firepower that could tear an enemy aircraft to shreds in seconds. A short, well-aimed burst was all it took. The combination of a high-speed dive and overwhelming firepower was a deadly 1-2 punch that German pilots learned to fear. The tide really began to turn with the introduction of drop tanks. Early P-47 models were limited by their internal fuel capacity, restricting their range. They could escort bombers part of the way to their targets, but then they'd have to turn back, leaving the bombers vulnerable. But with external, jettisonable fuel tanks, the Thunderbolt's range was dramatically extended. Suddenly, these useless fighters were showing up over Berlin, escorting the B-17s and B-24s all the way to the target and back. The Luftwaffe was forced to engage them, and the results were catastrophic for the German Air Force. One of the greatest proponents of the P-47 was Lieutenant Colonel Francis Gabby Gabreski. He initially disliked the plane, but he came to understand its unique strengths. He mastered the art of energy fighting and became a leading American ace in the European theater. He and his fellow pilots in the 56th Fighter Group, known as Zemsky's Wolfpack, became the scourge of the Luftwaffe. They developed aggressive tactics that capitalized on the P-47's strengths, and their kill counts soared. The story of the 56th Fighter Group in one particular month showcases the Thunderbolt's incredible effectiveness. Pushed to their limits and flying relentless missions, These pilots and their rugged P-47s engaged the Luftwaffe day after day. In one astonishing 30-day period, the group claimed a staggering 39 German fighters destroyed. The laughter of the German pilots had long since died down, replaced by a grim respect and then outright fear. They knew that when the Jugs were in the sky, a brutal fight was inevitable. But the P-47 story doesn't end there. As the P-51 Mustang, with its even greater range, began to take over the primary escort role, the Thunderbolt found a new calling: ground attack. Its incredible toughness and heavy firepower made it the perfect platform for strafing and bombing missions. It could carry a 2,500-pound bomb load, the same as the early B-25 Mitchell medium bombers, or it could be armed with 10 5-inch rockets. As a ground attack aircraft, the P-47 was simply unmatched. Pilots would scream down at treetop level, their .50 calibers ripping apart enemy convoys, trains, and troop concentrations. They became the bane of the German army on the ground. A P-47 could fly through a storm of anti-aircraft fire, deliver its payload with devastating accuracy, and still have a high chance of making it home. The Jug was not just a fighter. It was a fighter bomber, a true multi-role weapon of war. From the skies over Normandy on D-Day to the final battles over Germany, the P-47 Thunderbolt was there, a constant and deadly presence. It was flown by some of the top American aces of the war, men like Gabreski, Robert S. Johnson, and Hubert Semk. In total, P-47s were credited with destroying over 7,000 enemy aircraft in the air and on the ground, more than any other Allied fighter in Europe except for the P-51. The tale of the P-47 is a powerful reminder that looks can be deceiving. The German pilots who laughed at its bulky frame failed to see the powerful engine within, the rugged airframe that could withstand incredible punishment, and the devastating firepower it carried. They underestimated the Jug, and they paid a heavy price. The fat, clumsy flying bathtub turned out to be one of the most effective and important warplanes of World War II, a true legend of the skies. It wasn't just a machine. It was a symbol of American industrial might and engineering philosophy. Build it strong and give it a massive engine. The P-47 Thunderbolt may have started as an underdog, but it finished the war as a top predator, earning the respect of its pilots and the fear of its enemies. The laughter had stopped, and the legend of the Jug was born. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales from aviation history.